What's up? It's John Vaughn. Hope you're having a great day today. In this video, I'm going to go in and actually deploy a smart contract to the Avax network. Now, this smart contract that we deploy, I've already got all set up here. And what this smart contract is, it is a linear vesting schedule for MuDAO. And we're going to use this smart contract to go in and essentially lock up all the liquidity on all the different liquidity pairs for MuCoin and MuGold in a linear vesting schedule all the way up until January 1st of 2028. So approximately 6 years we're going to lock up this liquidity. And I just want to give you a little idea here real quick of this linear vesting schedule. So this linear vesting schedule, you can say this is going to be time and this is going to be value or amount, and a linear vesting schedule is going to vest like this, meaning if this time is 1/1/2028, by the time this time reaches here, then this will have vested 100%. At the very beginning, it's vested 0%, and it vests linearly, meaning in the very, very middle, it will be 50% vested. So hopefully that makes sense to you and you can understand what a linear vesting schedule is and essentially how it works. But what it means is at the very beginning, there's 0 amount vested, and at the very end, 100% is vested. So if we were to, for example, go in and say there's $1 million that are vested in this schedule, well, at the very beginning, wouldn't actually have any access to get any of this $1 million. And at the very end of this vesting schedule, you would be able to remove the entire $1 million and get access to the $1 million. And any time in between here, you would be able to go in and get access to a portion of the $1 million that have actually vested. So, for example, if we were to say that they were just 100 units of time here, and that's all there were, after 2 units of time, you would be able to go in and essentially remove 2% of the vested amount of $1 million. So you'd be able to go in and remove $2,000, which would be your 2%, okay? So this is what we're actually creating here. So we're creating this vesting schedule, and we're going to use this vesting schedule to essentially go in and lock up all the liquidity on MuCoin. Now, if we go in and actually look at MuCoin real quick, we can see on MuCoin, if we go in and look at MuCoin, remember there's only 1 million MuCoin that exist and that will ever exist. And if we look at the holders here of MuCoin, you'll see there's several different holders. This wallet address owns 40% of the actual MuCoin, and this is actually the MuDAO. So we'll end up putting a lot of this MuCoin in a vesting schedule as well and have it vest over time linearly so that the MuDAO can have access to some of this to do things like marketing and other stuff as well. Then you can see this address right here, and you can notice several of these addresses that are actually holding MuCoin have this little icon next to them that says contract. And if you actually open up these addresses and you look at these addresses, then you'll be able to see this address has this many Mus. And if you actually just look at this address, you can see what is this address. Well, this address is a smart contract, as you can see. And this smart contract is essentially holding 63,901 USDC coins and also 395,518 MuCoins. So this essentially is a liquidity pool. So if we come over here and we actually look at liquidity pools and we go look at these pools real quick, you'll be able to see that we have several different liquidity pools. And one of these liquidity pools is that exact liquidity pool that we actually just looked at. It is the USDC/Mu liquidity pool. Now, this liquidity pool is very important for you as a trader and an investor, because this liquidity pool is what allows you to buy Mu from the market, and sell mu to the market, whether you're dealing with mu or Doge or Shiba or any cryptocurrency out there. In order for that cryptocurrency to, one, have any real actual value, it has to be paired with something else. In order for you to go in and buy it with an asset, it has to be paired with something. In order for you to go in and sell it, it has to be paired with something. So there has to be an actual liquidity pool. So this is the liquidity pool for, and you can see this is the second largest holder, is this actual liquidity pool. And one of the problems with liquidity pools is they can be removed at any time. For example, I can just go in here and I can click this remove and I can hit max, and I can essentially remove pretty much all of the USDC coin, because you can see I own almost 100% of this liquidity pool. Almost 100% of the liquidity pool is essentially owned by me. Now, if you're unfamiliar with liquidity and liquidity pools, I have other videos that go more in depth on liquidity and liquidity pools in general, how they operate on decentralized exchanges like Trader Joe's, what algorithms essentially power them, and all that good stuff. We'll look into their smart contracts and all that good stuff. So if I were to do this right now and I were just to actually hit remove, all of these other people who are essentially holding MuCoin, they would pretty much have no way to go in and sell their MuCoin. They would still have MuCoin, and if they wanted to go in and sell it, they wouldn't essentially, I mean they would, because you can see there's several other, and we'll look at these in a second, there's several other liquidity contracts that are holding liquidity for MuCoin, but it would become much less liquid and much harder to sell, which ends up creating an actual problem. So what we're doing to ensure trust, and also to make people understand that the liquidity can't actually just be removed, is we are going to go in and we are going to create this vesting schedule wallet here, okay? So before we go in and actually create this vesting schedule wallet and send all of the liquidity tokens for MuCoin and the Mu ecosystem so that they're locked up, linearly vested, what we're going to do is we're first going to create a mock. We're going to create a test and let you essentially see the test. All right? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to save this, and then now we're going to come in and we're going to essentially compile this, and we're going to launch this. And whenever we launch it, it wants some different values. One is going to be the beneficiary address, meaning who is going to essentially be able to remove this liquidity once it becomes vested. So I'm just going to put in my address for this. We're going to go in and put in a start time. So for that start time, what we're going to do is we're going to use a Unix epoch converter. So we're going to use this Unix epoch converter, and what we're going to do is we're just going to hit refresh, and this is going to give us the current time right now. This is the current time. So we're going to grab this current time, we're going to grab this current timestamp, and we're going to put this in here as the start time. Now it also wants to know the durations. How long is this vesting schedule in seconds? So how we're going to derive this value is what we're going to do is we're going to again come to an epoch converter, and you can see what we're converting here. We're converting this date, Saturday, January 1st of 2028 at midnight, so basically New Year's, as soon as 2028 hits, this is the timestamp for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this timestamp and paste it in here. And then we're going to come in and we're going to grab this timestamp of basically what was the now. And we're going to also grab this and we're going to do a little bit of math. And that's going to leave us with this many seconds. Okay? So these epochs are literally just, it's literally just how many seconds have passed since a standardized date. All right? So now we know how many seconds are there between the date of right now and the date in the future in which we're going to time lock everything. So we're going to grab that result. This is the total seconds of the vesting schedule. So we're going to grab that result and we're going to paste it right inside here. And then now we're going to hit transact. We're going to confirm, and we're now going to launch this to the Avax network, the main network. We're just going to confirm here. And now we're essentially launching this to the main Avax network. And then we're going to go in and actually take a look at this. We're going to go in and take a look at this. All right? So this is the vesting schedule that we've just actually deployed right here. So we've just deployed this vesting schedule right here. and we're going to come in here and we're going to look at this vesting schedule. So we can see we've just deployed this vesting schedule, we've just actually created this contract, and here is our vesting contract. All right, so here's our vesting contract, and what we're going to do is we're just going to actually go in and we're going to look and we're going to see, here's the duration. You can see the durations in seconds. Here's the start time, and you can see the start time in seconds. And we have other things that we can do. One, we can change the beneficiary. This is so that we can actually change the beneficiary from my address to the MuDAO's address. So this can only be called if you go in and actually look at this function. If you go in and look at this function, you'll see inside here there's a function at the very bottom somewhere. You can see only the current beneficiary can change beneficiaries. So this is safe. It requires that whoever's calling this function to be the current beneficiary, and they can go in and update to a new beneficiary, meaning who is able to go in and request that these tokens are actually released to them on the vesting schedule. All right. So what we're going to do right now, again, let's look at this contract right here. We're going to grab this contract address, and what we're going to do to this contract address is we're going to send some fake money to this contract address. So here's some fake money that we have right here. These are fake dollars. We're going to send some fake dollars. We're going to send 1 million. We're going to send 1 million fake dollars to this address, just so you guys can see and understand how this is actually working. So here we're sending 1 million fake dollars to this contract address. Now again, the contract address that we're sending it to is our vesting contract address. So our vesting contract address is going to now be the owner of these 1 million fake dollars. And these are vested on a linear time scale where they get vested linearly until the end of the vesting schedule. And you guys saw we put the end of the vesting schedule on this date right here, January 1st, 2028, so approximately 6 years. So let's go in and actually refresh this page, and now we can see that this contract here holds 1 million fake dollars. So again, these are fake dollars. They're not worth anything. They're just meant to test and show you guys stuff like this. So now we can see that this contract has 1 million fake dollars. So let's grab our fake dollar over here, grab our fake dollar's contract address, and let's come back over here to our contract, and let's see let's see how much we have vested on this contract address. And let's just go in and actually refresh this page right here to get now. So we're going to get now. So let's go in and grab this timestamp right here. This is now's timestamp. And let's pop this timestamp in here. And let's just hit call. And you can see here's how many of those 1 million tokens have now been vested to us, where we're able to get access to if we want to be able to actually access any of those tokens. So we have, now this is some math. It looks like there's a whole bunch of them, but there's not, because there's 18 decimal points, so you would essentially go in and move this over. You would essentially go in and move this over 18 points. So what we're going to do now is we're going to ask this contract to send us the amount of fake dollars that essentially have been vested. So to do that, we're going to call this release function right here, and we're going to put in this address of the token that we want to release, which is our fake dollars, and we're going to hit transact. And then we're going to go ahead and confirm this. And we're going to go ahead and confirm this. And now we're actually confirming. And now that's actually been confirmed. So let's go back in and look at our address again. Let's look at our vesting contract again. And now you can see inside our vesting contract, if we refresh again the page, you can see we have a little bit less than 1 million fake dollars. And if we look over here at the transactions, you can see that $1.9 was actually released out of that million. $1.9 was actually released out of that $1 million, because that's how much has actually been vested to us right now. So as more time goes by, we'll have more access to get this $1 million as time goes by. we're not going to be able to access the full $1 million until the end of the vesting schedule. So if we want to go in and try to release some more money right now, let's go in and try to release some more money. Let's hit confirm and send off that transaction. So that's now been confirmed. Let's refresh this page. And you can see 39 cents was sent out. So far we were able to actually vest, because again, this is a linear vesting schedule. So as more time goes by, we become more and more vested. We don't become 100% vested. We don't become 100% vested until the entire contract has expired, until that vesting time has expired, and that vesting time was January 1st, 2028 at midnight, right at midnight. So approximately 6 years. This contract is a 6-year vesting period almost. So it's January 11th of 2021 right now. And we can just say, you know, time till 1/1/2028. So this is 2,181 days. So we can see that this is 70. You can see this is 71 months. So a little bit over 6 years. 5 years, it's a little bit over 5 years. 5 years, 11 months, and 20 days. That's how long we're actually vesting. We're putting this in an actual vesting schedule. So it's going to take 5 years, 11 months, and 20 days for us to be able to actually remove 100% of the things that are sent to this contract address. And what's going to be sent to this contract address, are going to essentially be all of these liquidity pool tokens. So if you look, there are several contracts that are holding mu coins. This contract here is a contract that's holding mu coins and mu gold. So this holds mu coins and mu gold. This is the liquidity pool of mu gold and mu coins. And you can see there's several other contract addresses here that are holding mu coin. This contract address here is a contract address on SushiSwap that's holding 30 Avax and 1,600 or 16,000 mu coins. And you can see again all of these things that are contract addresses here. This one's holding the most amount of mu coins. It's holding almost 400,000 mu coins. These are all liquidity pools. So again, I want to stress that the reason that we're locking up these liquidity pool tokens is so that no one has to worry about, you know, if you come back tomorrow, there's no liquidity in the mu ecosystem because someone's actually removed all the liquidity. The liquidity won't be able to be removed all at once. It would be able to remove, again, if we're being transparent, it will be able to be removed on a linear vesting schedule all the way up until this final date. So at this final date, 100% of the liquidity could be removed by this date. Until then, the liquidity actually remains locked. Now, these contracts don't automatically release any tokens. In order to have those tokens released, someone actually has to go in and call the function to release the tokens. So someone actually has to go in and call this release function to be able to actually release the tokens. And again, this is something that's verifiable that you can go in and actually, that you could go in and look at. If we can go in and actually find that contract again, wherever it was, this looks like it. This is something that you can go in and actually look at this contract address, and you can see on this contract address, has anything actually been removed? And you'll also be able to go in and actually look at the contract itself and see information yourself once the contract essentially gets verified like this. And we'll go in and essentially, and do that. All right. So now I know this has been a little bit of a long video. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and actually create this contract for the mu liquidity pool. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go in. We don't care about any of these other contracts because, you know, they're just holding fake dollars, and we don't really care so much about fake dollars. Do we? I don't think we care so much about fake dollars. So this is our epoch for the end of the vesting period. And this is our epoch for now. So let's go ahead and redo our epoch for now. And let's grab this timestamp. And let's come over here to our contract. And let's go to deploy a contract. We're going to deploy this vesting wallet right here. And we're going to put this as a start time. I'm going to go ahead and put our address as a beneficiary. Remember, we can change this beneficiary to the MuDAO using the change beneficiary function as long as we are the current beneficiary. And then let's go in and actually create this duration in seconds. So what we're going to do to create this duration in seconds is we are going to take this duration right here. When does our contract end? When is our vesting schedule over? So we're going to take this timestamp when it's over, and we are going to subtract that from when we started. And this is when we started, right here. This is the value that we've put inside right up here. If you look, those are the same values right there. So now we're going to take that value, and we're going to subtract it from this value. And that's going to give us our time in seconds. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and actually put this time in seconds here, and we are going to deploy our smart contract to the Avax network. Now we're just going to wait for this to go through. It has successfully went through. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go look at our activity. We're going to go look at this contract. We're going to go look at this contract that's just been created. And grab this contract guy and actually save it over here so we know. Grab this guy, save it over here so we know. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and actually verify this contract here. So we're going to select a single file. The compiler was 8.2, MIT license. We're going to continue. It's going to ask us for some code, so we're going to come over here. We're going to grab all this code, and we're going to stick that code inside there. We're going to say we're not a robot, because I'm pretty sure we're not a robot. And now we're going to verify this contract so that everybody and their mother and their brother and their sister and their kids and their friends, they can go in and look at the code for this contract so that no one has to trust anyone. So you can see that this was actually successfully verified. So let's now go back to that vesting contract. And now if we go back to that vesting contract, you can see that this vesting contract has verifiable code now. Anybody can go in and actually look at the code and see the code and see what this contract is doing. You can see the different functions that actually exist here. You can look and see, hey, how much amount is going to be vested at any time, and you can go in and essentially write. So you can change the beneficiary. And keep in mind that we could just go in and say something like, hey, we want to change the beneficiary. Let's go to a different account. Okay, let's go in, connect this to Web3. And let's give this a new beneficiary address, and let's go in and write. And it says that this is expected to fail. So let's go in and I'll try it anyways. So let's go ahead and try this anyways. We're going to call this function here. Let's go view our transaction. No, our transaction isn't done yet. Mostly probably because it's going to fail. And the reason it's going to fail is, as I showed you, and you can even look inside the contract. You can even look inside the contract and you can see, in order to call that function, in order to call that function, if you want to change the beneficiary right here, in order to call that function, whoever's trying to call that function needs to be the current beneficiary. And you can see that this failed, so let's go in and see why it failed. Let's view that on the Blockchain Explorer. And you can see it says right here, only current beneficiary can change beneficiaries. And you can even look inside the contract and you can see there's the error message that we said to send out. So only the current beneficiary can change beneficiaries. So that makes it safe so that nobody in the world can go in and say, hey, I want to be the one that receives everything that's inside this contract. So now our contract is verified. Now our contract is verified, and we have this contract address. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually go in and we're going to keep this there. We're going to come over here to MuCoin, and we're going to now start to go in and actually find all the liquidity pools. So what we're going to do is we're going to find all these liquidity pools. Here's a liquidity pool right here. And we can see here's a liquidity pool right here. And if we look at this, token, again, if you don't understand this, it'll probably be beneficiary for you to go in and actually watch the video about liquidity pools and understand. You can see that this token, okay, has supplied so many tokens, and there's 4 people holding that token. And again, if we come over here and we say, hey, we want to remove all this liquidity, we do own 99% of this liquidity, so we can remove almost all the liquidity. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to give 1.58113 of our tokens, we're going to give this many tokens back to this liquidity pool contract. You can see that somebody, and that somebody is me, here's that 1.58113, all right? And you can see that here, that 1.58113. So somebody, and that somebody actually ends up being me right now, owns all 99% of the tokens that allow you to actually remove the liquidity from this liquidity pool. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to essentially that token's already been added. So should be this token right here. So we're going to send this token to this contract address right here. And send it to this contract address right here. And we're going to give it the max amount of those tokens. And now we're sending the liquidity over there and locking up that liquidity. So now we're just going to wait. Just waiting. So now that's been done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're just going to go ahead and hide this. Now again, if we come back over here and I want to remove, I can't remove anything. I don't actually own anything. Okay, so it's not letting me remove any liquidity. If I actually refresh this page, you can see that I own 0% of this liquidity pool now. So I cannot remove any liquidity from this pool unless I go first to add some. So now I can go in and take some of my Mu coins, and I can take some USDCE that I own, 2 assets that I own, and I can add that to this liquidity pool so that I can earn some fees if I wanted, and then I could remove that stuff that I've actually added. So now let's look at this contract again, and we can see that this contract owns that liquidity token. Okay? So that one's been taken care of. Let's look at this contract right here. This is another liquidity pool. And let's look at this liquidity pool here. 2 addresses own this. One is me, and one is the null address. So let's grab this guy right here, and let's come in and essentially add this guy. You can see those are those tokens right there. And then let's come back over here to this contract address here, and let's send him these liquidity pool tokens. So let's send to that contract address, and let's do the max. Now if you look, what that was, again just to be transparent, what that was is if we come back over here to Trader Joe's and we look at pools, that was this right here, mu and mu gold. So you can see there's $22,000 in liquidity here. I also own 0% of that share. And now if we go in and actually look, this contract owns those liquidity tokens. Okay? So now if we come back over here and look at this contract, and again, this contract was the liquidity pool between mu coin and mu gold. If we look at this contract and we see, okay, hey, who holds this contract? We can see that there's only 2 holders, and one of them is, guess what? That's our liquidity locking contract. It owns 100% of that liquidity, and it is now locked up on a vesting schedule for basically the next 6 years. You can see he owns those right there. So let's go in and remove that token, because we don't want to see these. Actually going to hide all these JLP tokens. So now we've hidden all those JLP tokens. All right, let's continue. So we're going to take this right here. This is a liquidity pool for Avax and MuCoin on Sushi Swap. So if we come over here to this token and we look, who holds this? There are 3 addresses that actually hold this. Very, very small percent on this address. Not sure who this is. We can go try to find out who this is. But this looks like somebody who's actually probably another type of sushi swap router. So the vast majority holder looks like, again, it's me. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this right here. We're going to go ahead and add this asset. We're going to add this, and you can see the 707. And what we're going to do is we're going to send that to this contract address, which is our vesting schedule wallet that's locking up all the liquidity. So let's come over here. Let's send this max amount. And let's go ahead and send that. So now you can see this vesting wallet is holding all these liquidity tokens, so they cannot be removed, so that people will always be able to buy and sell these assets at least until 2028, pretty much 6 years. So let's look at this again. Now you can see he owns these LP tokens, those LP tokens, so that Sushi Swap is taken care of. Let's go ahead and remove this. And let's come back over here to our mu. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a liquidity pool that is holding DAI stablecoin and MuCoin. So let's go ahead and grab this contract address. Again, let's look at this. We can see that there's 2 addresses that own this. One is the null address, and this is just a pointer. The other happens to be me, and I own the entire supply of it, so I own all of that liquidity. So let's go ahead and import this token. And let's come back over here to our liquidity locking contract. And let's send it all of that liquidity and lock that liquidity up so that people don't actually have to trust me. They don't have to trust anybody because they can look and see in the code and they can see that all of this liquidity is safe and it is locked up on a linear vesting schedule for the next 6 years. So this project is going to be a good project for at least the next 6 years, and after that 6 years, who knows? But for now, you can trust the project for 6 years because you can go in and actually look and confirm that all the liquidity cannot be removed. It has to be there because it has been locked up. Now keep in mind it has been locked up on a linear vesting schedule, so a small amount of it could be removed as time goes on. As time goes on, small amounts could actually be removed, but you would be able to go in and actually look at this contract right here. Oh shit. I just made a mistake, it looks like. That's no good. Who did I send that to? Okay, great. It's all there inside that contract. And you'll be able to look right here and see, hey, here's all the tokens coming in. And you'll be able to see, hey, is anything going out? Has anybody removed any liquidity, or at least removed the liquidity tokens from this vesting contract so that they could go in and actually remove liquidity? So all this is verified in the blockchain so that you don't actually have to trust me or trust anybody else. You can go in and see everything on your own. So now let's go in and remove this from our wallet. Okay, all that's locked up there. Let's look at MuCoin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, this is another liquidity pool between Magic Internet Money and MuCoin. So let's grab this contract address here. Let's take a look at this. And we can see that there's two addresses that own this. The null address and then me. I own 100% of it. So let's take this. Let's add this asset in here. Let's add this token. Let's import it. Let's grab our liquidity locking contract address and let's send it all those tokens. Transaction completed. We had 4, now we should have 5 liquidity contracts in here, so we just need to wait a little minute, let this update. Now we can see we have 5 different tokens. We own all the liquidity. All the liquidity is being transferred to this vesting schedule. So that makes the project much, much safer because you don't have to worry about what's called a rug pull, somebody coming in and after a bunch of people buy the thing, they go in and actually remove all the liquidity so that there is no liquidity. So let's go in and actually look here again, and let's look at my liquidity pools now. Are just slowly going away. We still have USDTE and we still have some wrapped Avax. All right, so let's find them. We're at 5. Let's go to 6 here. Now this was Magic Internet Money. We already did that, so let's go to 7. This is Tether and MuCoin. Let's look at this liquidity pool. You can see there's only 2 addresses that hold this. I own 100% and the null address owns the most nominal amount. So let's go in and add this asset. And now let's send this address to our vesting contract. And let's secure this liquidity pool as well so that no one actually has to worry about any liquidity being removed and a project losing value, because 100% of the liquidity is being locked up in this vesting contract, which is a linear vesting contract that vests over the next 6 years. So the project is safe for 6 years. So now we've sent this over there. And if we wait just a second, we'll be able to see that it's going to show up there. Let's go ahead and remove this now, since we don't have any more of it. And let's refresh this. And you can see now we have 6 liquidity tokens inside there. And then let's come over here, back to our mu coin. We just did 7, let's do 8. This is another liquidity pool, and it is holding wrapped Avax and mu coin on Trader Joe's. All right, so let's grab this, and we can see 3 addresses hold this. One's a contract address, one's a null address, and the vast majority, 99.9%, is owned by me. So let's go in and grab this contract, and let's go in and actually add this contract as an asset here. Let's import it. And then now let's go and grab our contract address for our liquidity locker that's now owns 7 or 6 different liquidity pools. And let's send them all the liquidity for this liquidity pool. Let's give the max amount there. So there's only one other liquidity pool. There's only one other liquidity pool. Right now, all 7 of these liquidity pools are now owned by this. Here's Sushi Swap, and here's this. And there's one other liquidity pool you can see down here, but it doesn't own hardly any mu coin at all. And if we go in and open him up, we can see that this is a liquidity pool for Sushi Swap that has just a small amount, the most nominal amount of USDC, and pretty much 0 mu coins. So you can see pretty much 0 mu coin, and again you can confirm that just by looking and seeing that he doesn't have hardly any mu coin. Everybody else is an address. So now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 liquidity pools for mu coin. And we can look at our vesting contract, and we can see that 100% of all 7 of those are essentially owned by our vesting contract. And again, we can look, if we want to look at the Sushi Swap liquidity pool token, let's look at that Sushi Swap liquidity pool token, and we can see, let's look at that Sushi Swap token. Here's that token. And this, as you can see, it's wrapped Avax in mu coin. And if we look, there's 3 holders here, and the biggest holder that owns 99.99% is that time lock contract, as you can see. So now all of Mu's liquidity, 99.99% of all of the liquidity for MuCoin and the MuCoin infrastructure and ecosystem has now been locked, which makes it a much more secure, open and transparent project where no one has to worry about, okay, hey, I'm going to go one day and there's not going to be any way for me to sell my MuCoin because there's no liquidity anymore. So I've showed you now the liquidity pool contract, creating the contract. We verified the contract on the blockchain so that you can look, so that everybody can actually see it. And now we have actually locked up the liquidity. So now it's your turn to go buy MuCoin.